What's good? It's boy CJ Goodfella back with the morning grind. Shout out to Boxing Ego for bringing light to this situation. I'm piggybacking off his video. He reacting to this is HBO's pound for pound list. And before I do get into it, I know a lot of people have an issue with Lomachenko only having 9 fights and being anywhere in the top 10 pound for pound. And let me address that real quick first and foremost. He's fought Nicholas Walters, who was considered a killer. He's fought Gary Russell, who has excelled ever since he lost to Lomachenko into one of the brighter stars of that 126 division. And he fought Salido, lost, whatever. And he fought a couple other guys. I have no issue with him being, somewhere in the top 10. I don't think he's number one. But I don't have an issue because you look at Golovkin's career, he has nobody on his resume that's better than what's the kid name? Nicholas Walters. Even though he was rusty, this was a guy who was a killer, who was knocking out everybody. Had a draw with the dude, and then he got starved and put on the shelf because he didn't want to take certain fights. Danny Jacobs, people are blowing him up just because he survived with Triple G. He beat Triple G, in my opinion. It was close. I'm not gonna cry robbery, but you look at what he did. He absolutely did nothing in his career. He beat Peter Quillen, got knocked out by Pirog, knocked down by Sergio Mora, beat Sergio Mora, back to back. Other than that, is that a who's list? Absolutely not. People are just reacting because he competed with Triple G. But if you look at Triple G's resume, he hasn't beat anybody. Everybody he fought was, average or below. Kell Brook was a blue up welterweight. He was his best fight to date. Then Daniel Jacobs. Before that, Lemieux, he's been knocked out several times. And people point to him like he's some killer. He's a dude that could punch with no boxing skills. And everybody below was pretty much, average or trash. But I'm not going to get into that. Golovkin is not in my top 10. Never will be unless he beats Canelo Alvarez and then he'll be there. But as far as him, being in my top 10 can be. Look at the resume. I don't care. He's been defending his title for 10 years versus who? Everybody talk about longevity. But who is these marquee names that he is fighting? Nobody. So he's not on there. Number one is Andre Ward. Just based on the win over Kovalev and what he's done in the past. And him still being in his prime-ish. He's number one. I don't have a problem with Kovalev being number 2. But as far as everybody else on there, and Lomachenko, I put him somewhere in the top 10, maybe in the top 5. Just because of the importance. But right now, it's like, it's really a transitional phase from that Pacquiao, Mayweather, Cotto, Marquez era into a new era. And they telling us for so long how Roman Gonzalez was the best fighter in the world. They telling us, they forcing that upon us, a paperweight is the best champion and fighter in the world. And I was never buying that. And he's nowhere in their top 5 now after a loss, because he legitimately lost. I was there, I seen it. He legitimately lost. But, Terrence Crawford, he's never been in a 50-50 fight or been an underdog in a fight. Every fight he's been in, he's been favored. Lomachenko, he's been in some close fights, but he did lose. But the quality of his fights, I'm taking quality over quantity for that. So, it's a transitional phase. None of these guys, other than Andre Ward, based on their resume and his clout in the sport, would be in any other era in the past would be in the top 10 pound for pound. Any other era, these guys wouldn't be in the top 10. And it's no knock on them. It's because everybody is so young and so green in their career right now. This is the sport where business and the money is taking over, where the best can't fight the best because everybody has to follow a budget and everybody wants to get theirs. Nobody wants to sacrifice. But as far as HBO in this list, and not taking into consideration with Keith Thurman, who I think has done more and has a better resume than Terrence Crawford. Earl Spence can be in there as well. I think he's better than Terrence Crawford. That's just my personal opinion. But I understand why Terrence Crawford will be above Earl Spence, but I don't see why he will be above Keith Thurman. I don't see that. Canelo Alvarez, I think his body of work is more impressive than Gennady Golovkin. He is an HBO fighter. Anthony Joshua possibly could be somewhere in the 10 range. He had a big fight over Klitschko, which I think, is bigger than what anything Golovkin has done. You look at Kovalev, other than the Andre Ward fight, he hasn't pretty much done stuff but beat a lot of quantity of guys. His quality is not good, but it's not his fault. But it's just the fact, the reality of that. This list is an exact portrait of how HBO calls their fights. Very biased. They're a biased company, and I can't wait for them to fold. I hope Top Rank gets away from them and they just fold and just get out the sport of boxing. I want to get boxing away from paid prescriptions anyway, so it can be free and accessible and thrive. We gone.